Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Conversations with Carissa. If you are new to the channel, please click that subscribe button. Yes, click that subscribe button. Yeah, because this is a good channel. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of good information when you come to this channel. And then I also want you to share it too, because, you don't want to keep all this information to yourself. And then I also want you to like it too. And you know what else you can do too? You can also put comments at the bottom. Yeah, I want y'all to comment on this and tell me what you think about it. And to my old subscribers, I am getting ready to do a DIY. Yes, a DIY. Yeah. Do you all remember when I put out that video? It was on talents and spiritual gifts and how it shapes a purposeful life and how God gives you many talents and we just don't realize what we do on an everyday basis. Well, my second talent is being creative and decorating. So I went to the store about a couple of months. Well, no. Let me take that back. It went a couple of months ago. This was actually last year. I got these last year. These tables, these end tables for my family room. And when they looked really nice in the store, but when I brought them home, it just didn't do the furniture any justice. So I said, okay, the creative side of me, what I decided to do was to not necessarily repurpose it. I was going to jazz it up a little bit, spice it up a little bit. So this table was about $22. It was kind of cheap, but it was cheap. Didn't matter to me because, I was going to figure out a way to make it work anyway. A lot of times you can buy some stuff that's cheap, but, ain't nobody, they ain't going to know. They ain't going to know. They really ain't going to know unless you tell them. But anyway, I'm telling you guys because, we family. I'm telling y'all. Well, anyway, I bought this table. And as I said, I didn't like how it looked in the family room, but I wanted to do something a little different to it. So I think the piece that I really didn't like about it was it's not wide enough. I needed it to be wide enough because the furniture in the family room is swallowing it up. It's just it ain't doing what it need to do. So what I decided to do was to spray the base. And I'm going to spray the base a gray color. And then I decided to remove the glass and to extend the top of the base. I purchased a wooden base. I like metal and wood together. So I purchased the wooden top. What I'm going to do to the wooden top is stain it. I'm going to stain it and I'm going to put several layers on it, or maybe one or two. I don't know how many layers I'm going to put on it, but I don't know what color I'm trying to get to. So whatever color that I like is what it's going to be. And it also, by adding this base, you see how thick it is? It raises the table up a little bit as well. I didn't like how low the table sit against the sofa. So without further ado, I am going to tape this on the outside and start spraying the base. So follow me, you guys, outside while I spray the base. Okay, so I am done spraying the base. As I stated before, it kind of looks a little gray, dark grayish. I guess you can kind of you can see the color now that I'm in the sun. But I am done spraying the base, and believe it or not, y'all, I used 2 cans on this. Believe it or not, I know I lost a lot of paint, and that's probably because the legs are so thin. So when I'm spraying, it's not necessarily catching the other side of the leg. So I'm having to make sure that I cover all the areas of the base, and just go over it and make sure that I don't see any of the other color that was underneath it. But this is how it looks for now. I am done with the base, and now I'm waiting on finishing up the stain for the top. And then once I'm done with that, then I'll go ahead and affix the top to the base, and then I'll start on applying the epoxy satin finish to it. Okay, so the next step is to do the sanding. On this side of your base for this particular base, this top, it's pretty smooth on this side, but on this side is fairly kind of rough, but not as bad. So I am going to use a 120 sander, and it's kind of grainy, but not as like hard grain. So it's for smoothing out wood, rough edges in the area. So I'm just going to just smooth it out so that it can blend in with this area. And then when you want to smooth around it and on top, I'm just going over both areas, and on top and all around it, so that when you get ready to put your stain on, your stain is going to be smooth on both sides of it. Then once I am done with the sanding, not necessarily done with the sanding, but once I'm done with getting it to where it feels the same as this side here, then I'll go ahead and finish off my sanding with the 320. And the 320 is not as grainy as the 120. The 320 is just going to make it even more smoother for both sides. Then after I get finished smoothing out the whole top, then I'll start doing my staining. So please make sure that when you get ready, when you're working with wood and you're putting a stain on or whatever you're doing to it, you want to, unless you just want that rough kind of not even look or feel, you want to make sure that you sand your wood out first. So once I'm done with this, then I'll go ahead and stain the bottom of this. I didn't do anything really to the bottom, and the reason why, as far as sanding it out, is because no one is going to see the bottom. However, what I will do to the bottom is go ahead and stain it lightly. And then once I'm done staining the bottom piece of it that's going to be affixed to the base, then I'll come back and just start staining the top to where I'll stain it. I'll put the first layer, and if I like the first layer, if I don't, then I'll just continue on until I get the finished look that I'm looking for. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is about 3 coats that I applied to the back of the top, because I wanted to see how the color was going to look. So I'm pretty satisfied with the look of this. It's such, like I said, it's such a beautiful color, and I like this. This is the look that I'm looking for. And I'm gonna go ahead and start on the front. And what I did, if you notice, there are some little spots here that the stain just didn't really pick it up. It didn't, for some strange reason, it didn't pick it up. I don't know if it was because I didn't sand it down good enough on the back of it, but I also sand the top and the bottom, but I guess I didn't do this as well. But I'm going to go ahead and start on the top of the top. And I'm using an old t-shirt, cut up t-shirt. This is the best thing that you could use, is some type of cloth that doesn't give off lint. So just remember, when you are doing your staining, get something, a cloth that doesn't hold lint. Okay, so I am going to start applying the coats. And the best thing to do is to don't go against the grain, go with the grain. And that way you can get all of your solution in the cracks. If there are any cracks in the wood or what have you, it'll cover that up as well. So I apply the coat, and then I'll let it dry. I'll let it dry for maybe a good 30 minutes or so, and then I may go back and just reapply my second coat. Make sure you get these edges as well, around the edges as well. So I'm going to apply, as I said, I'm going to do 3 coats because I really like the look of this. And it's gonna look really nice with the base, because I did the base in a dark gray. It almost looked like it's black, but it's not. It's a deep dark gray. See how that looks? Isn't that pretty, y'all? And this is just the first coat. Once I'm actually done with applying all of my coats, my stain, then I'm gonna go back and get do a poly finish. And I think I want to do, I know I want to do it in a satin poly finish, and then I'll be done. So you have to take it into steps. You can't complete this. I can't complete it all in one day because it's just several different steps to it, and then you also have to allow your paint to dry as well. And depending upon how many coats of paint you want on, you know, like I said, there's a time in between each coat that you do, whether you're spraying your base or whether you are applying the stain to your top. So stay tuned to the next video, not next video, but the next step. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and affix the top to the base with epoxy, and then after I do that, then I'll go ahead and apply the final base coat, and that's the satin, I think it's the satin poly coat, and that gives it a little shine to it. But I don't want it too shiny. I just want it to be more of a satin finish, but not a matte finish, but more of a satin finish. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is how I've already affixed the base to the top, and I've put the final stain coat on the tables. So the only thing that's left now is to apply the polyurethane, the satin. It looks like it's pretty much a go the way it looks now, but I really prefer to put another a poly coat on top of this, and this is also to help protect the wood as well. I really like how the tables turned out. I love the richness of the table. I didn't know what color I was going for until I actually saw it, and I really like the way this table turned out, these tables turned out. I ended up putting about 3 coats to the tabletop, and for one I actually had to end up putting a 5th coat in for
And the reason why is because the wood, each of the tops, they were kind of, the stain was kind of taken different. It wasn't taken like it was on the other top or what have you. It just took, like for this one right here, this particular one, it took much longer for, or it took a little bit more coats for it to take. And I guess because of it's the same wood, maybe it's just the type of the character of it or what have you, but it just took longer for, or took more coats for it to take. And I also wanted them to look like each other, the tables to look alike. So this is how they look without the the satin coating, poly coating to it. So I suggest that you allow, when you're doing stain, I suggest that you allow, especially if you're putting several coats, allow at least a day or so, or maybe a couple of days for the stain to completely dry. Like I said, I did this yesterday and it still is not quite dry, because I can feel it and it's just not quite dry. So I suggest that you at least wait a couple of days before you do anything else to it. I'm not going to put any the poly on it until this is completely dry. And you can buy the stain and the poly blend together. I did that before on another project I worked on, and I wished I had started off with the stain by itself, because then you have a lot more control over your paint. For the poly and the stain mixed together, I really did not have a lot of control. So I made a lot of mistakes on that, and I had to go back and do it over, take the stain off and reapply it, because it was too much streak in it for whatever reason. It was just too much streak. So applying your stain and just doing a stain by itself is much better. And from my perspective, it's much better to apply the stain, a single stain, and then go back and put your poly on it. So I will let you see it again once I apply the poly to this, and this project will be done.
Okay, the table has dried overnight and it looks pretty good, you guys. Now it is ready for me to add my top coat, and that top coat is going to be an oil-based polyurethane in satin. So I'm using a 2-inch brush to do the project. You can also use a sponge brush, but I prefer the old-fashioned way. I prefer using a regular brush. This is a 2-inch brush. You can see it, a 2-inch brush. And before I get started, I'm going to shake up my paint, because I want to make sure that everything is blended in, that this table gets everything that it's supposed to get in this can. Okay? I am really excited because we're at the end of this project, and I enjoyed it fully, and I hope you guys, when you looked at this video, that you enjoyed it too, and that it was very helpful to you when you get ready to start your project. I am going to add 1 coat on the table first and then let it dry. I'm just gonna let it dry probably for about a good 4 hours or so. I think actually it's not 4 hours, because it's an oil base. You have to let it dry for 8 hours before you add another coat to it. But for this video, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it off by adding 1 coat of the polyurethane. I'm not gonna go up and down like I was doing before when I was putting the stain on the table. I'm just going to take it in one direction, because I want to make sure that it gives it an even look. And then you also want to be careful for bubbles. I mentioned to you all earlier in this video that I worked on a project not refurbishing, I keep saying that, but restoring a lateral nice wooden file cabinet I got. And I used the blend of a poly and the stain, and I didn't have any control over it. I just had so many issues with it, but it did turn out really nice. I'll show it to you up in the corner shortly, but it did turn out pretty good. And I didn't want to make the same mistake with this table here. I wanted to make sure that I had a lot more control by separating the poly from the stain. And I'm quite sure people who do this all the time, I don't do it all the time, but I do it enough to know where my boundaries are, y'all. And my boundaries is I like to take it one step at a time. See how pretty this is, you guys? Make sure you get the around the edges too. So I'm going to make sure I get a good complete cover. A good complete cover before I add the second layer. I may just go ahead and add a second layer anyway, but that won't be until later on. But for the sake of this project, I wanted you guys to see me put the final finish on this before I close out this video. You guys, I want you to like this video. Whoa, see that? Whoa, I have it sitting up on something, y'all. I want you guys to like this video, and I want you to share it as well. And then also hit that notification bell so the next time I put out a video, you'll know in advance. You will know. Okay? This is my first blunder, y'all. I got it sitting up on a brick stand because of the camera. So I want you guys to make sure that you stay safe. I want you to respect each other, and I want you to love each other. Until next time, I'll see you in another video. Have a great day. Bye.